Courthouses are supposed to be places of calm and dignity, where order is maintained and justice is served. But when stakes and emotions are at their highest, cool heads don't always prevail. Coming up, a haunting double murder.
He was looking in the eyes of the devil.
A judge tosses the book at a jury candidate.
We're going to completely throw out our entire justice system.
And a daring deputy.
He went above and beyond trying to get this defendant.
All the jaw-dropping moments.
And also this too.
She flashes the judge.
Plus, key insights from our team of crime and legal experts.
The insanity defense is so difficult to prove. Jury members don't want to let a crime go unpunished.
On Chaos in Court. At the Manhattan Supreme Court, Yoselin Ortega awaits sentencing for the unthinkable. The grisly murders of children under her care. 6-year-old Lulu and 2-year-old Leo Krim.
I ask for a great deal of forgiveness. I close to God, Marina, to Marina, to Kevin.
Marina Krim was a stay-at-home mom, married to Kevin Krim, and they had 3 children together.
The Krim family lived in the Upper West Side. They're a well-to-do family. He was a TV executive, and they had the perfect life. On the other end of the spectrum, you have their nanny, Yoselin Ortega.
Yoselin Ortega from the Dominican Republic. Just recently, she brought her son to the United States and enrolled him in private school. Her decision added financial stress to her life. Yoselin's sister was a nanny for another Upper West Side family. She highly recommended Yoselin to Marina, saying that she was an experienced nanny. But in fact, she had absolutely no experience at all.
Miss Ortega's family pretended to be people she had worked for, so that when Miss Krim called the references, they got Miss Ortega's relatives. Total scam.
But she had been with this family for 2 years, and there were no problems in those 2 years.
At least, no problems that would hint at the nightmare to come.
On October 25th, 2012, Marina is with her little 3-year-old, Nessie. They're at swimming lessons at the YMCA. Afterwards, she's supposed to go and meet their nanny, who has both Lulu and Leo, at Lulu's ballet lesson.
When she makes her way from the swimming lesson to the ballet lesson and realizes that Yoselin and the kids aren't there, she gets this pang of panic. She knows immediately something isn't right, and she rushes home. It's dark, it's eerie, except for one light that's coming from the hallway. So as she makes her way down this hallway in toward the bathroom area, she opens a door and sees something that no mother should ever have to lay their eyes on.
Inside the bathtub, she sees her 2 children, Lulu and Leo, stabbed to death. Blood everywhere. And this scene goes from horror to the macabre when she sees Ms. Ortega sitting there, almost as if she was waiting to get Marina's reaction to what she had done.
Yoselin was now in the process of trying to slit her own wrists and stab herself in the neck.
Marina just reacts with this guttural scream that just reverberates throughout the building.
The superintendent, who lives directly below the Krims, heard the screaming and ended up running upstairs. And when he went into the bathroom, he saw Mrs. Ortega.
And he says he was looking in the eyes of the devil.
On October 25th, 2012, Yoselin Ortega, this defendant, intentionally and savagely slaughtered Lucia Krim and Leo Krim.
It took 5 years for this case to make it to court. When you have a case that's this complex, dealing with medical experts, reports and evaluations, motions, it takes time.
The trial begins March 1st, 2018.
Ms. Ortega's demeanor in court was really kind of disconnected. Her defense team said that she was mentally ill.
The evidence will show that she has a corroborated history of hearing voices and dissociating from reality.
The defense was obvious in this case. It's an insanity plea.
literally killing 2 children. There's no way that anyone in their right mind would do that. So an insanity defense makes sense, but it does not reduce the fact that she committed these crimes with intent and with purpose.
The defendant waited until she was sure that the mother was out of the apartment before she returned to the apartment with Lulu and Leo that afternoon.
She waited for Marina to show up so that she could see what she had done to her children.
The prosecution maintained that Yoselin's motive for this disgusting crime was that she was incredibly jealous of the life that Marina had.
The defendant resented Marina Krim for being the mother that the defendant could not be, for being able to provide for her children.
The prosecution's key witness is Marina Krim, who relives the worst day of her life in heartbreaking detail.
Marina described the scene as a total horror movie. She also said that Ortega had never complained to her about any struggles that she was having. So whatever problems were going on with Ortega, she worked very hard to hide them from the Krims.
Guilty as to count 1, murder in the first degree.
Ultimately, a jury finds Yoselin Ortega guilty of 2 charges of first-degree murder and 2 charges of second-degree murder.
We could not find a strongly credible proof that the defendant was not aware and able to recognize what was going on.
The insanity defense is so difficult to prove, in part because jury members don't want to let a heinous crime go unpunished. And that's how they see the insanity defense, as somebody getting off.
Ms. Ortega, do you want to say anything before I pronounce the sentence?
I'm very sorry for everything that happened. Pero ojalá que nadie, but I hope that no one goes through what I have gone through. Although many people wish me all the worst, my life is in the hands of God.
Anybody in their right mind would know this is the time to apologize. But to turn it on herself and say that her life was hard and what she's gone through, it just doesn't even make any sense.
I don't really hear I'm sorry for what I did. I hear minimizing and mitigating. I hear she's sorry, but not really for what she did. And she almost makes herself the victim in her own statement.
She says that she wished her family would have listened. She told her family that she wasn't feeling well. It was just a whole lot of deflecting and minimizing her role in what happened. She did apologize, but it just didn't come across as a sincere apology. Not in a sense that she felt any kind of remorse for this horrible thing that she had done to these children.
We hear Kevin very emotionally implore the judge to give Yoselin life in prison.
The defendant is an evil and utterly dangerous narcissist and a complete failure. It is right that she should live and rot and die in a concrete and metal cage.
The defendant set out to destroy what Kevin and I had created and built. An inspired, happy, thriving family.
Marina does not hesitate to let the family of Miss Ortega know that she's disappointed and outraged with them too. Because had they not lied and helped her lie about her references and her experience, they never would have been in this situation.
There didn't seem to be any expression of remorse, contrition from those family members, and that too was hurtful. It was almost as if they're being victimized a second time by these extended family members who were incapable or unwilling to show any empathy and sympathy towards the Krim family.
Yoselin Ortega receives the maximum sentence, life without parole.
Normally, a tragedy like this would destroy a family. We see it all the time. But instead, they keep their family together and even have 2 more children.
And they were able to create something that would honor the memory of their 2 children that were slain.
It's called the Lulu and Leo Law. And what it basically says is, if you falsify the records or the resume for a caregiver, and that caregiver does some harm to somebody they're caring for, then the people who falsified that record can be held responsible.
The Krims also create a foundation called the Lulu and Leo Fund.
Out of all of this, the family created a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It empowers young children and adults to build resilience and creativity.
It's really sad as a parent to even imagine something like this happening to a family. But then we can look to the Crims to see that after tragedy, there can be hope, and it doesn't have to destroy our entire lives.
The defendant may think she destroyed Lulu and Leo, but she is a failure in this too. Lulu and Leo are powerful forces. They are two stars now that will always lead us forward.
At the Highland County Courthouse in Hillsborough, Ohio, 33-year-old Nicholas Garrison awaits sentencing for 5th-degree aggravated possession of methamphetamine.
It is a relatively minor meth possession charge, and he gets 6 months.
But unfortunately for Garrison, there's more to come.
Garrison is sentenced to an additional 530 days in jail because he committed these offenses while he was out on probation for burglary.
The judge handed down the sentence. Mr. Garrison got up and then walked towards the door of the transport deputy.
So Garrison is being prepped to be transported from the court back to county jail.
They were just about to get the cuffs ready to put on him, and then that's when I felt him scrape up against my shoulder.
He breaks free, bolts, and then the chase is on.
My main part was to do whatever I can to get him. You're acting more than really what you're thinking.
Officer Ben Reno is chasing the defendant, and he gets a hand on him as they get to the stairwell, and he goes over the railing head first and just literally slides down the stairs on his back. That really had to hurt.
It's just a split-second decision. I knew at that time I had that much of a chance to get him.
Unfortunately, he was hurt severely, but he just wanted to get the defendant.
I got back up and ran out the back of the building, and I made it all the way down about a block. By that time, the adrenaline was starting to wear off a little bit. At that point is when I knew that something was wrong for sure.
Soon after, Reno was whisked away in an ambulance.
When I went to the hospital, that's where it was discovered where I had 4 broken ribs, 2 broken vertebrae, and a concussion.
Ultimately, what happens is the suspect gets away, and then video is released and made available to the public.
In this surveillance video of Deputy Ben Reno taking this horrific fall as he's pursuing a suspect who fled, it had a huge impact on the public.
And there were a lot of calls that came in to give possible locations or some type of tip on where Garrison was.
4 days after his escape, police find Garrison at a motel 25 miles away.
They immediately arrest Garrison, haul him back to jail, where now he is indicted on new charges for the escape.
In June of 2021, Garrison pleads guilty to 1 count of escape and 1 count of assault on a peace officer. Along with his original and new drug charges, he is now serving 8 years.
Running, doing what he did certainly didn't help his situation from before. It certainly made it worse, but I'm sure he'll be reflecting on that in prison.
Ben Reno is rewarded for his heroic actions and makes a full recovery.
I still have my days. I'll wake up with a sore back, but I'm back being chief bailiff of the courthouse.
You really have to appreciate the work these bailiffs do. I mean, he puts his body above all for the safety of the public.
At the Clark County District Court, Jose Azucena is about to stand trial for allegedly molesting young girls at his Las Vegas home.
He is accused of, over the period of 2 years, luring 5 7- to 9-year-old girls into his apartment, using candy to do that so that he could sexually abuse them.
Reportedly, Jose threatened these little girls and told them if they ever said a word to anybody that he would kill their mother.
So this is day 2 of jury selection. That means they've already narrowed down the candidates.
The jury selection process is really the most important and difficult part of the process. You're trying to find 12 people who are impartial, unbiased. That ain't easy.
Presiding over this case is Judge Richard Scotty.
One of the prospective jury members comes up to the judge and basically says, hey, I can't be impartial in this case.
The judge goes ballistic. He is not having it.
You didn't say that yesterday.
Well, I said
Right?
I had other
No,
issues.
listen, what we're not gonna have in this jury is people coming in overnight and thinking up shit and trying to make shit up now so they can get out of the jury.
Judges do get emotional, but we are not supposed to yell and swear in our courtroom. We don't allow other people to yell and swear, so we have to lead by example.
If I find that someone said something yesterday under oath and changes it because they're trying to fabricate something to get out of serving on this jury, there's gonna be repercussions, right?
I
Now,
did
what's
say.
going on here?
I
Tell me
did
what's
say.
going on.
The judge says that she may face repercussions. Now, that to me is an obvious threat to this young lady.
I said I had other issues yesterday, and you said you'd get back to me.
Right, so why you got issues? Why can't you're saying that you can't be fair and impartial to both sides? You're gonna completely throw out our entire justice system because you don't want to be fair and impartial.
Your Honor, may we approach? Your
No,
Honor.
you can't approach.
What's funny is the judge would accuse her of throwing out the judicial process, and then he literally throws the Constitution?
Basically throwing a tantrum. I couldn't get over the fact that this adult male judge was acting like a 5-year-old child.
You're not gonna be fair and impartial.
Like I said, with my nursing history, and I've been involved with child abuse, and I've been involved with incest with young girls that delivered 13 years old, it makes me rather biased.
Man, you're off this jury.
You hope that a prospective jury member will tell you about these biases. What if she poisons the jury to her way of thinking? You don't want that. She's doing the right thing.
Go home, all right? I don't like your attitude.
The empathy that he lacked for this woman's concerns, her feelings, frankly was disgusting behavior.
So the very next juror was questioned, and it's determined that she's experienced some sexual assault and abuse as a child. But this juror says that, yeah, she can go ahead and perform the duties in a fair and impartial way.
Now, I don't know if she really can. That may just be her response to the judge to keep him from throwing the book at her and being told, I don't like your attitude.
The defense counsel moves to dismiss the entire jury.
But the judge denies the motion, and he calls it ludicrous.
What's ludicrous is the judge having that attitude. What's ludicrous is this guy wearing a robe. He should not be on the bench.
Ultimately, the case proceeded, and the defendant was found guilty of 25 felonies. But that's not where it ended.
Just a few months later, the Nevada Supreme Court looks at the case and reverses the conviction, primarily because of the defendant's argument that he could not get a fair jury panel after the judicial misconduct that this judge displayed.
An interesting twist on this case is that one of Jose's defense attorneys was Carly Kearney.
In November 2020, Kearney actually ran against Judge Scotty. And man, she had the best material to use, a marketing person's dream.
Clark County deserves a judge that has an even temper, that has courtroom experience, and that will be balanced to everyone that appears in front of them. They don't deserve somebody who throws the Constitution.
Carly Kearney ends up winning this election, and in January 2021, she actually replaces Judge Scotty on that bench.
In the meantime, Jose Azucena and his alleged victims are awaiting his retrial.
It is a bit ironic when you have a judge berating a prospective juror, saying she will taint the process, when what he did leads to the whole disqualification of the jury panel and the need for a new trial.
At the Broward County Bond Court, 54-year-old Susan Surratt is before Judge John Hurley on a charge of disorderly intoxication.
Susan Surratt's problems began at a Fort Lauderdale bar where she gets into an argument.
According to police, Susan got upset when customers started playing rap music. So she started yelling at them.
We were playing country music, and the bouncer was friends with another girl in there that was playing heavy rap music. And then all of a sudden, he's going back and forth to the jukebox, and then he kicked me out.
the police say. After Susan was escorted outside the bar, she attacked the bar manager.
Susan denies throwing anything or attacking anyone.
And then the police came and I ended up going to jail.
And now she's sitting there in front of the judge, making her first appearance.
Okay, ma'am. Here, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
You own your own condo, am I correct?
Yes, I do.
Do you have money in the bank, ma'am?
Not right now.
As judges, we have to determine whether or not you can afford an attorney and what type of bond to set.
Well, how do you pay for your bills at the condo?
Okay.
I work.
What do you do for work?
What she's going to do.
I work as a hairdresser. I own Beach Bathing Hair Salon, and I'm also Kayla Cupcake.
You're also what?
It might help to go.
Kayla Cupcake. I'm an escort, too.
We hear a lot of things, but we don't normally hear people admitting to being an escort.
Susan continues listing her vocations.
Flash porn star. Magazine model.
Okay, well, I guess that kind of sums everything up.
In the midst of all this explaining about how she earns her money, she then goes into a tirade about being assaulted.
And I've been beaten up tonight by police. The police also. And also this, too, from somebody who pulled me on the ground. All over my body.
She flashes the judge.
I guess I shouldn't have done something like that, but how else was I going to show them my bruises?
The judge was not expecting that, and he struggled to keep his composure.
He turns away, almost like he's looking at a car crash.
What do you suggest we do, sir?
And her bond is set at $100 based on the public intoxication charge.
Susan doesn't face any additional charges for the bold breast-bearing antic.
I believe the no consequences for the flashing was appropriate, absolutely. Because, hey, she was just trying to express to the judge where her injuries were.
I wasn't happy about it. You know, it's like all over the internet.
To be quite honest, this is the type of behavior that makes her money. And I don't necessarily think she sees anything wrong with bearing her breasts. She just may be one of those people who doesn't have any regard for when those appropriate times are.
Also this, too.